3 siblings fought over their mother's body for 6 hours. What they said made me lose faith in humanity. I've buried over 10,000 people. The dead don't scare me anymore. It's the living that terrify me. The reality of my job nobody talks about. People think the hardest part of my job is dealing with death. Handling bodies, preparing corpses, being around grief all day. But that's not it. The dead are peaceful, quiet, easy. It's the living that make this job unbearable sometimes, because I've learned something in 35 years that most people never see. Death doesn't bring families together. It tears them apart. I've watched siblings who grew up together become enemies over a casket. I've seen children fight in front of their parents' body while it's still warm. I've had families scream at each other during funeral planning, saying things so cruel I had to step outside. And the thing is, it's not even about the person who died anymore. It becomes about money, about control, about old grudges and resentments that have been buried for decades, suddenly exploding. I've seen it hundreds of times. But one case, one family, destroyed me. And it taught me something dark about human nature that I can't unsee. The family, successful, respectable, falling apart. Let me tell you about the Martinez family. That's not their real name, but everything else is exactly how it happened. The mother, Patricia, died at 74. Cancer. She'd been sick for 2 years, so the death wasn't a surprise. She had 3 children. Robert, the oldest, at 52, successful lawyer. Jennifer, 48, high school principal, and David, 43, owned a small business. On paper, they were a normal, successful family. Patricia's funeral was scheduled for Saturday. I met with them on Tuesday to plan everything, and that's when I saw the cracks. Robert walked in with a folder full of documents, started talking about the will immediately. Not about his mother, not about memories or grief. The will. Jennifer kept interrupting him, saying he was trying to control everything like he always did. David sat there, silent, arms crossed, clearly angry about something. And I remember thinking, this is going to be bad. But I had no idea how bad. The fight begins. Who gets control? The first fight was about the casket. Patricia had left instructions. She wanted cremation. Simple service, no fancy funeral. She'd written it all down years ago. But Robert wanted a traditional burial. Expensive casket. Big funeral. She deserves respect, he kept saying. Jennifer agreed with following their mother's wishes. David didn't care either way, so it's 2 against 1, right? Should be simple. But then Robert said something that changed everything. I'm the executor of the will. I make the final decision. And Jennifer lost it. Started screaming about how he always had to be in charge. How he thought being the oldest made him superior. How their mother was probably rolling in her grave watching him take over. David finally spoke up. You're the executor because you manipulated her when she was sick. And now it's chaos. All 3 of them yelling, accusations flying. I'm standing there trying to calm them down, but they're not even seeing me anymore. They're just attacking each other, and their mother's body is literally in the next room. Finally, I got them to agree to take 24 hours to cool off and come back Wednesday. They left separately, wouldn't even walk out together. And I thought, maybe they just need time to grieve. Maybe tomorrow will be better. I was so wrong. Day 2. Money reveals everything Wednesday. They came back, and it was worse. Because now they'd all talked to lawyers. Robert showed up with his attorney. Started talking about Patricia's estate, the house, the investments, the savings accounts. And this is where it got dark. Patricia had money. Not rich, but comfortable. Maybe 400,000 in assets total. And she'd split everything equally between her 3 children in the will, 1/3 each. Fair, simple, But Robert contested it, said he deserved more because he'd helped manage her finances the last 5 years. He'd spent time, done work. He should get 40%. Jennifer and David should split the remaining 60. Jennifer stood up so fast she knocked her chair over, started listing everything she'd done. Every doctor's appointment she drove their mother to, every meal she cooked, every night she stayed over when Patricia was scared. You managed her money. I managed her life. Where were you during chemo? David jumped in, said they were both ungrateful. He'd paid for home care nurses out of his own pocket, thousands of dollars. Nobody reimbursed him. And now he wants that money back from the estate before it's divided. So now all 3 of them are arguing about who sacrificed more, who deserves more, who loved her more. And I'm sitting there thinking, your mother is dead. You're fighting over money she saved her entire life while her body is getting cold in my funeral home. This is insane. But it got worse. The accusations, secrets come out. This is when the real ugliness started. When people get desperate and angry, they say things they can't take back. Robert accused David of stealing from their mother. Said $20,000 went missing from her account 2 years ago when David had power of attorney for a few months. David turned red, denied it, said Robert was making things up to justify taking more money. Then Jennifer said something that made everyone go silent. She said, "Mum told me she was scared of you, Robert. In the hospital, she said you pressured her to change her will." Robert stood up. Looked like he might hit her. His lawyer had to physically step between them. And then David said the worst thing I've ever heard a child say about their parent. He said, "Honestly, I'm glad she's dead. I'm tired of dealing with this family." The room went completely silent. Jennifer started crying. Robert looked like he'd been punched. Even David looked shocked at what he'd said. But he didn't take it back. And I realized, this family is broken. Completely shattered. And it wasn't the death that broke them. The death just revealed what was already there. Years of resentment, competition, jealousy, hurt. It had been hiding under the surface. And now that Patricia was gone, there was nothing holding it together anymore. The resolution, everyone loses the fight, continued for 6 hours total, over 2 days. 6 hours of 3 siblings destroying each other while their mother's body waited to be buried. Eventually, they reached an agreement. Not because they reconciled. Not because they forgave each other. But because their lawyers convinced them that fighting would cost more in legal fees than the inheritance was worth. They agreed to Patricia's original will, equal split. Cremation like she wanted. Small service. But here's the sad part. None of them spoke to each other at the funeral. Robert stood on one side, Jennifer on the other, David in the back. They didn't sit together, didn't hug, didn't comfort each other. There were maybe 30 people there, and everyone could feel the tension. And when it was over, they left separately. Didn't say goodbye to each other. And I found out later, they haven't spoken since. Robert, Jennifer, and David. Siblings who grew up in the same house, shared the same parents, the same childhood. They're now strangers. Because money mattered more than family. Because being right mattered more than being together. Because in the moment their mother died, instead of supporting each other, they turned on each other. What this taught me about people, this case broke something in me. Because I realized we're all one crisis away from becoming the Martinez family. We all think we're better than this. That our family wouldn't fall apart like that. That we'd handle grief with grace and love. But I've seen it too many times. Good people, respectable people, loving families, they all fall apart the same way when death and money get involved. And here's the thing. It's not really about the money. It never is. It's about feeling valued, feeling appreciated, feeling like your sacrifices mattered. Robert wanted more money because he wanted recognition for helping their mother. Jennifer wanted control because she wanted acknowledgement for her caregiving. David wanted reimbursement because he felt taken advantage of. They all just wanted to feel seen and valued. But instead of talking about that, instead of being honest about their feelings, they fought about money. And they destroyed their family in the process. And Patricia, the woman they were supposedly honoring, she died wanting her children to love each other. She died hoping they'd support each other. And instead, they spent 6 hours fighting over her money while her body got cold. The warning: don't become this family. So here's what I need you to understand. If you have siblings, parents, family, deal with your issues now. Not after someone dies. Not when emotions are high and money is involved. Now, have the hard conversations. Forgive the old grudges. Let go of the competition. Because I promise you, when death comes, and it will come, you don't want money to be the thing that destroys your family. I've seen it happen hundreds of times. Good people turning into monsters. Siblings becoming enemies. Families falling apart forever. Over what? Money that won't bring anyone back. Control that doesn't matter. Pride that isn't worth it. Don't let that be your family. Don't let me watch your family fight over your body. Because I'm tired. I'm tired of watching love turn into hate. I'm tired of watching families destroy themselves. And I'm tired of burying people who died hoping their children would take care of each other, only to watch those children tear each other apart. Be better than the Martinez family. Be better than the hundreds of families I've watched fall apart. Because death is guaranteed. But destroying your family over it, that's a choice.